that the angels do not come to such a house, if we were to apply it to all houses, which is an if, not everybody applies it, some say only Jibreel and the Prophet ﷺ, is that the angels do not like this animal. However, you cannot extract tahreem from it, because what the angels do not like does not make it haram. For example, the angels do not like any strong odor, such as garlic. Strong garlic. The angels do not like it. Is it haram? So, a number of ulama have pointed out the wording of the hadith does not indicate tahreem. The max that you can say, which was what Ibn Abdul Bar says, karaha. That is best to avoid these things. Now, this is Ibn Abdul Bar and a prominent strand of Maliki or Sunni Islam, but to be factual, it is a minority opinion. The majority of the ummah have said that these hadith mean that it is sinful to have a dog without a haja. And according to the majority opinion, to play with an animal is not a haja. You understand this point? So I'm being factual when I say the majority of the ummah would not allow a dog as a pet just to play with. But a strand of the Maliki school would not find it problematic. Some might say it is makruh. And makruh does not imply sin, it's best to avoid. And this is why some cultures of our Muslim world have permitted this and others have shut the door. Me personally, I think it is definitely best to avoid, simply because there's a number of ahadith that are quite clear in this regard. Before we conclude, one final point, that there are two ahadith that also we need to very quickly mention, that there is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ at one point in his life commanded dogs to be killed wherever they are found. And then later on he said, let them be. And Ibn Abdul Bar interprets this, that this is because Jibreel refused to come into the house. So the Prophet ﷺ on his own accord wanted to get rid of them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, no, you shouldn't do that, because the hadith says that dogs are one of the ummahs of all of the ummahs. So I'm not going to command them to be killed. لَوْلَا أَنَّ الْكِلَابَ أُمَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأُمَمِ. That the fact that the dogs are one of the ummahs, then I cannot kill all of them. So this hadith indicates that he was not allowed to do so. And the final hadith which we conclude on, just because the majority opinion is that dog saliva is najis, and because of that, even if we have a dog for haja, we should be careful about our prayer. So even if you have a dog for haja, a dog is guarding the house, okay? A dog is hunting, a dog is any type of haja. You must make sure, by the way, that you have an area in your house that the dogs do not enter, so that you can pray there. And that if the dog licks you, because in my opinion, dog saliva is najis. If the dog licks you, then you cannot pray until you change your clothes or you wash your hand, whatever it has licked. So there should always be that place here. But just because the dog saliva is najis, this does not mean that the Sharia has told us to be harsh or mean to dogs. On the contrary, people have entered Jannah by being kind to the dog. And we'll conclude on this famous hadith in Sahih Bukhari that we all know, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave a prostitute for her kindness to a dog. This is in the hadith, that she was walking in a land and she became very thirsty and she saw a well, so she went into the well and drank from the water. She came out and she found a dog that was so thirsty, it was licking outside of the well to get some water. She felt pity on the dog. She went down. She said to herself that this dog has felt just as thirsty as I was. So she went into the well and she filled her shoe. And she had nothing else, so she put her shoe in her mouth and climbed out to feed that dog. This one, and so imagine, so by the way, the hadith is very profound. Not just the dog, but what the lady does and her career and her shoe in her mouth. Think about all of these, like the type of thing she's doing to help just a beast unknown. Nobody sees this. Allah is watching. And the Prophet said, فَشَكَرَ اللَّهُ لَهَا ذَلِكَ فَغَفَرَ لَهَا. Allah thanked her for that one deed and forgave her. One of them said, Ya Rasulullah, will we get ajr for being kind to animals? And the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, in every living beast there is ajr. So this hadith shows us that we are not commanded to be nasty or mean or cruel to dogs. And it is completely permissible to, if we see a stray dog, feed it or whatever. And if you ask me personally, even if you pet it, not that I'm encouraging, I personally don't. I'm just my culture, or whatever, I'm not. But if you want to do it, I don't think it is najis at all. What is najis is, what is? The saliva. And if we are kind and merciful, Allah Azza wa Jal will be kind and merciful to us. With that, inshallah, I hope that we have answered this question in somewhat detail. And until